Hi people, welcome to Chess 24/7, and this is the fourth installment in the series of chess imbalances. And today's video is all about the imbalance of development. With that said, let's dive into it. Okay, so in simple terms, you can say that development is the process by which both the sides bring out the pieces into the game and coordinate their play. But a rational question would be, why is it necessary to bring out our pieces into the game, or why is it necessary to consider development as an imbalance? Well, we all know that you cannot checkmate your opponent with your one single piece. Thus, you have to bring all your pieces out into the game very dynamically. You cannot stay underdeveloped, because otherwise you would get checkmated, or if not checkmated, then you would be in a pretty much bad situation. So we all know that how much vital chess development is. So we can actually divide this imbalance into two small parts. First one would be if you're what you should do if you are ahead in development, and second would be what you should do or what you should not do when you are behind in development, right? But before going there, let's see what Jeremy has to say about development. Pursuant to Jeremy, a lead in development is easy to spot. Simply put, you have more pieces out than your opponent. Of course, normally you would expect the other side to get the rest of his pieces into play over time. This is why development lead is a temporary advantage. You only have few moves until it disappears. Because of that, you must make immediate use of it, or you will end up empty-handed. How is it done? What is the goal? The following rules should clarify these points. Okay, so Jeremy has provided us small points in development, right? And I will be exemplifying each and every point as usual. So with that said, let's get started. I know I'm using this phrase with that said, but I don't know, it's really, I'm getting used to it, so I just like this phrase. I like repeating this phrase again and again in my video, but that's another story. Okay, so the rule 1 says that a lead in development usually means that you must start some sort of aggressive attack. Quiet play puts no pressure on the opponent and will allow him to get the rest of his forces out. So in the position that is in front of you, we can clearly see that white enjoys a clear space advantage and also development in lead. So here black would be trying to develop as pretty much fast as he can, but white would try to subdue him by making some force moves, or not allowing him to castle, or sorry, not castle, or not allowing him to bring out his queenside pieces. So here white plays e5, and it looks like that white is putting no pressure on the black side, but actually he is actually not allowing black side to develop his pieces, because now the knight on f6 is attacked and he has to move, and also the pawn on h6 in some variations would become quite vulnerable to attack by white side. And since this black knight on f6 has to move this, so we can say that in this move black cannot develop his other pieces and has to make a forced move. So in all, we can say that whenever you are ahead in development, you should try to subdue your opponent and you should try to play as forceful move as you can, but obviously you should do them after analyzing each and every consequences that you make, because we all know that each and every move has its pros and cons. So you should actually analyze the advantages and disadvantages of each and every move, and then you should play the move so that you don't end up in a pretty bad situation, right? Because chess is something that you don't play all alone, you play it against an opponent, so you should not actually just obliterate whatever your opponent is thinking from your mind. Okay, so rule 2 says a lead in development means the most in open positions, because the open central files should enable your army to penetrate into the hostile position with relative ease. If you have more pieces out and the position is wide open or even semi-open, then don't hesitate to attack. And Jeremy has provided a tremendous game which exemplified this point. So white starts with e4, black plays c5 Sicilian, knight f3 d6, bishop e5, a very popular move even these days. Bishop d7, bishop takes d7, queen takes d7, c4, and here I think instead of taking the bishop with the queen, he should have taken the bishop with his knight on b8, which develops his knight also. c4, queen g4 was played, attacking g2 and e4, and only one pawn can be defended, so black castles. Queen e4, he is up pawns but he is not developing his pieces, which is very bad. d4, and now white starts to open up the position. C takes d4, rook e1 attacking the queen, queen c6, knight takes d4 again attacking the queen, but now again queen takes the pawn on c4, knight a3 attacking queen, queen c8, knight a to b5, and now the threat is simple threat, knight takes d6, check, and it would be a fork because the pawn on e7 cannot take the knight on d6 because it's pinned by the rook on e1. So to protect that, queen d7, bishop f4, bringing out his pieces into the game because the position is open, e5 forking the bishop and the knight, but obviously none of the pieces could be taken because of the pin by the rook on e1. But here white makes a sacrifice, bishop takes e5, d takes e5, rook takes e5, check, bishop e7, and rook d5, and if queen takes rook on d5, knight would give a fork on c7 to the queen and the king, so queen goes to c8, knight f5, now there's another fork on the d6 area because he has two attackers on the d6 square, so king goes to f8, knight takes e7, king takes e7, and now we can clearly see that the black king is in the center of the board and his knights are not developed, and white can bring up his other rook and his queen into the game and can easily provide some problems to the king, and it all was because black was not developing his pieces. Instead he was hunting pawns, he was being greedy in the game. Okay, so rule 3 says that if the enemy king is still in the center and you have a lead in development, consider these factors an invitation to rip the opponent's head off. Start an immediate attack. At the very least, you will keep his king in the middle of the board and make him suffer for a long time to come. This the rule 3 is just the extension of the rule that we just saw, and I think this game clearly exemplifies that how to keep your opponent busy if he is not developing and he is going for pawn grab, or if he is playing small moves such as h3 or a6 or something like that to avoid pin and he's not developing, then you should go for attack because this keeps the king in the center of the board. And obviously you can attack when your own king is fully safe and his castle. Obviously you won't do you won't go for attacking your opponent's king when your own king is not castled and safe. So first thing is safety of your own king, and then if the opponent gives you a chance by not developing his pieces, you should go for attack. Rule 4 says that a closed position often nullifies a lead in development because the blocked files stop you from effecting any real penetration. If you have a big lead in development and think you can blast the pawns out of the way, then by all means give it a try. However, more often than not, the side with the deficit in development will find that he has ample time to cure this problem if the center situation is locked up. In short, we can say that if you are behind in development, you should try to keep the center closed and you should not open up the center till you do not develop your other pieces into the game. I'll show you a game which Jeremy has provided us in the book, and it is, so after d4 we have knight f6, c4, then we have c5, then we have d5, e5, knight c3, d6, e4, and we can clearly see that white has space advantage in center, but the center is locked and the square on d4 is pretty much vulnerable and can be a good home square for a knight. Bishop e7, bishop d3, black castles, knight g2, e2, and knight e8. A strange move. Black, who was ahead in development, not ahead in development, but he was equal to White's development, but now has retreated himself and has made himself behind in development. And here White castles and bishop g5, and here Black tries to exchange his bad bishop for White's good bishop, or he would try to exchange his bishop for another piece and would try to secure in the knowledge that he can catch up in the development later on, and there won't be any problems because the center is close and even the king of Black side is castled and is safe and secure. Rule 5 says the goal doesn't have to be made. If you can start an attack and win material, or get two bishops in the open position, or leave him with weak pawns, and etc, by the time he gets his forces out, then you are in the possession of a fine static advantage. Do not go crazy and attempt to force immediate decisions where no one exists. In the following position, White is pretty much developed better than the Black side and can win material by bishop takes f7 check, and king takes the bishop on f7, and after that queen to, where can she go? Okay, she can go c4 check and can win the knight over here. Well, the goal over here was not to checkmate but to attack the king and win the material, and he won the material on the f7 square as he took the pawn, and he is gaining his piece back. So in all he won a piece up. So finally we have reached the cessation point of this video, and in short we can say that development is something cardinal. You cannot win your piece, your opponent, just by one single piece. I mean, the queen is the most powerful piece, but she also requires help from other pieces. She cannot checkmate the lone king with herself only. So we can say that development is something cardinal in chess. And yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you liked it and found it a bit constructive, and see you in my next video. Till then, take care, tada, goodbye.